Hey, what's happening, Jets fans? You in a good mood? I hope you're in a good mood. I'm in a great mood today. I gotta say, I'm in a great mood. I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that we're together once again. It makes my week, everybody. Truly it does. And this is Green Bean, and welcome to episode 53 of Greenbean's Jets Pod. Here we are. Another game in the books. I'm learning that lots of people are upset after this one. It's a tough loss. Tough loss, isn't it? But, hey, let's be honest here. Who expected us to even be in this game? I think the pregame broadcast, they didn't even go through the list, see how everybody thinks the game is going to go. The guy just said, everybody's got the Bucs, right? And they said, yep, and they moved on. That's what it was. That was the expectation, Jets fans. So, is that what happened? Ultimately, at the end of the day, the team they thought was going to win won. But do you think that's what they thought was going to happen? Hey, look, I'm a Jets fan, as you guys know. And I didn't think that was going to happen either. I wanted it. I hoped. All the stuff. I hoped it was going to happen. I hope we'd make it a game. But it's like even more guys were hurt. It's just, we had the COVID last week. We have injuries. Jamison Crowder, obviously Corey Davis, Elijah Moore are all gone. Tevin Coleman, gone. George Fant ended up going down. Michael Carter ended up going down. And on and on and on. Did I think we were going to make this a game? In reality, not so much. I just wanted some positive plays. That's what I wanted. I didn't want it to be a blowout, that kind of stuff. Like Seattle did to Detroit, 50 points. That's not what I wanted. Okay? I didn't want that. So, when you look at the way it happened, turns out we have quite a bit to discuss, don't we? We're going to talk about Zach Wilson. We're going to talk about coaching decisions. We're going to talk about Michael Carter. We're even going to get into a little bit of AVT today. And Dan Feeney while we're at it. But we'll talk about some AVT. We'll talk about the offensive line as a whole. We'll talk about our defensive backs. CJ Mosley. Lots to discuss. Even something that happened after the game that just boiled me. It twisted my undies. That's what it did, man. And you guys know what that is. We'll get into that as well. But before we do, I want to hand it over to my sponsor, Draftkings. They are sponsoring Green Bean's Jets Pod right now. I could not be more grateful. So let's hear a word from them. Guys, Draftkings Sportsbook is coming to New York, and it's not going to be long until you can take a shot on all your favorite sports teams right here in New York on the world-famous Draftkings sports betting app. We all already know Draftkings from their daily fantasy contests, and now they've gone and brought their expertise to sports betting so sports fans everywhere can get in on the action. DraftKings Sportsbook offers everything you could possibly want in a sports betting app. From player props to same-game parlays, they have it all. In just a short time, you'll be able to wager on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home on one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps, DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, and best of all, you can deposit or withdraw your cash whenever you want. So check out DraftKings Sportsbook and tell them I sent you by using promo code GreenBean. That's promo code GreenBean. DraftKings Sportsbook, coming soon to New York State. And again, I want to thank DraftKings for sponsoring Green Bean's Jets Pod. I'm grateful to have a partnership with you all. But I also want to remind you about the contest we have going on right now. I did not make my time frame goal, but we're getting closer and closer to the actual goal, which is 5,000 subs. Wanted it for my 1-year anniversary, December 27th. That's okay. We didn't make it, but we're on our way. When that happens, 3 of you will win. 2 will win a t-shirt of their choice from the GreenBeanjetsfan.com merch store. And one will get that t-shirt, but will also get a Manscaped Ultra Smooth package. Woo! All right. And you'll also get some Green Bean stickers as well. So all you have to do to enter that is to subscribe right here on this channel and then go over to my other channel right on YouTube. Simple thing. Just go to Full Time Coaster Tour on YouTube and hit sub there, and you are in the contest. If you'd like an additional entry, go over to my Instagram, GreenBeanJetsfan, and follow me there. And that we are rocking. We are rocking. You have 2 entries, doubling your chances to be one of the winners. And thank you all who've already subscribed. Again, I've had a great first year, guys. I'm just loving this experience of getting to communicate with you guys on the substantial basis that I do. It's an amazing process, this whole thing, building a YouTube channel. And I'm grateful, man. I really am. So now, if the Jets could maybe turn the corner a little quicker, and maybe it'd be more fun. But let me tell you, today, this game against the Buccaneers, it was fun. I don't know about you, but I had a good 100 and change on the Jetnation live stream with us. And man, we had a blast. It was exciting. It was hopeful. It was upbeat. We all couldn't believe how calm and collected our boy Zach looked. The offensive play designs were wonderful for the most part. Exciting, creative. Mike LaBooth upstairs, rocking it since that move. Remember, Mike LaFleur used to be on the sideline. Remember that? Walking around, feeling all uncomfortable and weird. For how many weeks? 6 weeks? 5 weeks? 6 weeks? Something like that. And then we decided, let's put him upstairs with the Mike F. and White game. And it has been history since then, because he'll never be on that field again. I want to point something else out. That Mike LaBooth going upstairs really affected on our offense. I believe it was after the big Michael Carter run, which we'll talk about at length. Zach walked over to the sideline. Saleh was all pumped up, congratulated him, high-fived him or something, but waiting right behind Saleh and where Zach Wilson was actually going was Matt Cavanaugh, who was 2 yards onto the field waiting for him with his headset on, with all sorts of instructions and directives and comments. And this is what we have not seen here in years. Literally years. We never had that guy on the sideline, at least all through Sam's career, waiting for him when he got back or walked over to the sideline. Somebody that has offensive intelligence and experience to walk over, meet him, and get something going. When he goes to the bench, not only does he have Cavanaugh, he has Calabrese and John Beck. They're all over him. But that play today just reminded me how far we've come. How far we've come from Sam Darnold walking over to the sideline, sitting alone on the bench, maybe picking up a Microsoft Surface, looking at that a little bit by himself. Maybe the first year he had some McCown action. And meanwhile, Adam Gase, his head coach, offensive coordinator, and quarterback coach, is on the other side of the bench, sitting there, writing in a notebook while the defense is on the field. That's where we were. That's where we were, guys. This year, even after the just devastating passing of Greg Knapp, which was a major blow to this offense and the organization, not even to mention how devastating it is for his family and all of his loved ones and friends. But what it did to this offense was it took the entire plan and threw it on the shoulders of a bunch of guys that had never done this before. So getting Matt Cavanaugh in there, and it took time for them to gel and for him to get comfortable. And I'm a firm believer that putting LaBooth upstairs, putting Mike LaFleur upstairs in that booth, gave Cavanaugh the free rein to run the sideline. And don't forget, Matt Cavanaugh has been a quarterback coach numerous times. He's been an offensive coordinator numerous times. And that's after playing quarterback in the NFL. So when he's on the sideline with LaFleur, there's probably a little bit of hesitation, a little bit of, hey, I'm going to let him run his show and all that kind of stuff. Now that is his sideline as far as the offense goes. That is Cavanaugh. Mike LaFleur's upstairs designing the plays, doing a fantastic job with his own growth. Not perfect. We'll talk about that. It's not perfect, man. But I don't think anybody can deny that the first chunk of the season looks entirely different than this most recent chunk. Since Zach's been back from the injury, but even before Zach came back with Mike White and Josh Johnson, Joe Flacco, things look electric. They look creative. They look like they're giving us a chance rather than just stale, dry, run up the A-gap first and second, 3rd and 9, throw an incomplete pass and punt. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of those things, man. Like when we look for what's really going on out there, you have to key in on some of that stuff. You really do. You know, it's disappointing to have a game in hand. And I'm going to tell you, even the guys who were rooting for the tank, we had all those discussions last week, belief versus the draft pick, right? We did all. And there are lots of people that are on that side of the argument. Why are we winning games in a meaningless season when you have a couple guys up top of the draft that would help this team immensely? And I go, hey, who doesn't understand? But I'm going to tell you right now, I haven't even talked to many of them yet. I'm going to tell you, I'm going out on a limb, and I'm going to tell you, even the tankers were having a good time today. Even the tankers were having a blast. Now, maybe at the end of the game, they were relieved, whatever. But even those guys, that whole crew, you couldn't watch today's game and not be excited. You couldn't watch it without being excited. And seeing how our coaches interact with the players, seeing how Mike LaFleur's play design really does look like it's using the game to govern how we call it. Using what's happening in front of you. Yes, you have your design, you have your pre-planned plays coming in for your first drive, maybe a little more. But what's the problem with that? The problem with all that, too, is when you're not succeeding. Let's say your designed, pre-planned plays aren't succeeding and you go up and 3, down and 3. 3 and out the 2 first drives of the season, which is what we've been seeing all the way up till a few weeks ago. First couple drives, stale, duds, fail. That's what we were seeing. The offense never gets an opportunity to get into a rhythm. We never get to see anybody. It's always desperation. So the fact that we're able to stay on the field via LaFleur's play calling and our quarterback calming down and all that sort of stuff, the offense is starting to gel a little bit. They're starting to know each other. They're starting to trust each other. They're starting to believe. What happens then is that people stay on the field, all the players stay on the field, and then they can get into the groove. Then you can really see what the playbook looks like. You can really see what a guy is like on play 8 on the drive. You can see what's really happening when Zach has a feel for what the defense is doing. That's the biggest thing. So when you got LaFleur upstairs calling the plays like he has been, and we saw some creative plays in this game, and we saw some creative plays over the past few weeks, guys. We saw a hook and ladder. We saw a Jets sweep today. We saw a Philly special that the announcers called a Jet special, which is good because I got so tired of watching all these teams run jet sweeps. And then we had a team, we're the Jets, and we don't run jet sweeps. What is this madness, I say? I know the tankers were happy. This was a fun game. I know the guys rooting for a victory were happy. I know the guys just looking for progression, win, lose, or draw. They were happy. Everybody was happy until the very end of the game. And what happened on the very end of the game? We got down. We were up by 4. We get down into the 11-yard line or so. We're in the red zone. We can't get the first down, so it's 4th down. And we decide, we made a decision. If you kick the field goal and you make it, that puts you up by 7, which means a field goal, they can't get in the field goal range and tie and or win it, right? So it makes them have to score a touchdown. And then they would have to go for 2 to beat you, but most likely they'll just take the point and we'll go to overtime. So that's the thinking there. They decide, you know what? We don't want to play that game. It's Tom Brady with 2 minutes left. He's going to go down there and score most likely. So we're going to try to ice this game right now. We need 2 yards. So they call a play, and it doesn't work. Now, the play call from the naked eye, which is what we wear, naked eyes, that's all. Some guys have binoculars, I'm sure, but most of us are just looking at this with our naked eyeballs, and from that perspective, it looked like that was the dumbest play call I'd ever seen. Didn't it look that way? I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe. Getting 2 yards on a quarterback sneak is not... I mean, I don't know the percentages. I don't know the analytics of it, but I can't imagine it's a good bet. So when you see that, especially because so much was on the line, that is a frustrating thing to watch. Now, if we went for a pass or we ran it and it just didn't work, as disappointing as those would be as well, it's not doomed from the onset. Fair enough? And that's what it felt like. So that's where a lot of anger is coming from. A lot of the disappointment is coming from that play in particular. So afterwards, they're asking Saleh what he thinks. He says it was a coaching thing. We didn't make it clear. We didn't make it clear to Zach Wilson that we really wanted the run option, because they give him an option in those situations that if he sees an opening, he can run it. If he sees what he likes one way or the other, that's what he can choose to do, which is great. We've all wanted that forever. Remember when we heard last year Gase didn't allow Sam to audible? Remember that? Remember the firestorm that caused with us? And it should have. It was like you don't even trust your quarterback to make a call from the line if he sees something. At least give him that. So we now know that Zach has that option. And we knew that a couple weeks ago, because he ran the touchdown in. So we know that Zach Wilson has at least a little bit of a leash, and that's a positive. That's a positive. So he calls the quarterback sneak because, in his words, the A-gap was open. He's thinking, oh my God, I'm going to just jump through this hole and get it. That's what he's thinking. That closed up quicker than it was supposed to. And we got stuffed at the line. Stuffed. Went nowhere. Maybe got half a yard. I don't know. And then it's like, I can't believe that's what we just watched. So there's a lot of anger. They ask Saleh what happens. He says that I didn't convey it. The coaches didn't convey it properly to Zach, that we really wanted this option and only that option. First of all, that's the only question they asked him, which is just so annoying. You know what I mean? I get it. You got to ask it. And they were just like, well, to be clear. Wait, so when you said this, am I understanding this properly? Like, of course you understand. You heard him. I heard him. I knew what he said the first time. So they're annoying. They're trying to find some sort of drama, and I'll get to that in just a second, too. That's what they're doing. But they do ask him the question, which obviously has to be asked. So he says, we didn't convey it clearly enough to Zach Wilson that we wanted the ball to go to Berrios on that play. So they said, who didn't convey it to him? Is that you? Are you the coach that doesn't convey it to him? And he said, no, I don't call the offensive plays or something like that. And he said that was LaFleur. So now we know the guy that I was just singing his praises for a very creative game plan, successful game plan, by the way. We were supposed to get trounced. I thought Vita Vea was going to be snacking on Zach Wilson today. But that's not what happened because of the game plan, the play calls, and the execution. So it's all that. But so LaFleur was calling a great game. So now we say it's LaFleur's fault. And they clarified and made sure and all that sort of stuff. And that's what he said. So then they asked Zach Wilson about that play. They said, well, Saleh said it was on the coaches. And Zach Wilson came out and said, I think after plays like that, everybody's just being hard on themselves. So Zach Wilson took it and said, no, I saw something, and I chose that decision right there. It's not on the coaches. That's what he says. So you like to see accountability. You like to see people owning stuff. But I like how he said it. Everybody's just being hard on themselves after something like that happens. I don't know. I think that's just a really positive way to say it. Hey, man, this is tough. We're disappointed. It makes you sick. Zach Wilson also did an interview with Bob Wischusen, and I'll play you a little clip of that right now.
Yeah, we had pretty much two different plays in one, and I thought that's what the defense was giving me at the time based on my parameters, and so we gave it a go, and unfortunately we came up short. It's always easy in hindsight and after the fact to say, oh, you know what, you guys didn't get it. Why didn't you kick it? Why didn't you, call something else? Why didn't you hand it there? Whatever it is. We pick up 2 yards, and everyone's talking about how great of a call it was. I love the aggressiveness of our coaches to go for it there and put that game away. And unfortunately, we came up short, but we're going to learn from that.
Right. So we're going to learn from it. That's the key. That is the key. We learned from last week's victory. We learned from that Jacksonville game when we won it because we learned from the Eagles game and the Saints game. And we got there and started the Eagles game with 3 opening touchdowns because of what we learned in the Texans game. The first half was atrocious. The second half was 18 unanswered points, and we won the game. But remember, we grumble about everything. We grumble about each situation as it's happening. The Texans game wasn't good enough. The Eagles game, we died in the second half. The Saints game, we suck. The Jacksonville game, we should have lost. We always find a way. Always find a way. So getting deeper into that, we're going to enter this segment because I got stuff to say. Let's get into the intelligent gripe. So I'm listening to everybody around the Jets kingdom that we live in. We got podcasts, we got live streams, we have sportscasters, we have the Jets beat, we got the players, we got everybody with their opinions. And I'm going to tell you something. I watched the whole game again just to see if what I was hearing was accurate. There's an important thing that we have to do as Jets fans with this particular season. We have to remember what it is that we're doing. What is it that we're doing here? Are we supposed to get to the playoffs this year? Obviously not. Are we supposed to lose out so we can get a better draft pick? What is it? What's going to make us happy? Which one is it? So do we win? Do we lose, right? But when we do lose a game like we lost today, we have to remember what we saw. We saw Zach Wilson come out against the Buccaneers 11-4, Tom Brady, Mike Evans, on and on and on. Le'Veon Bell's over there. They got everybody. Antonio Brown was there for a little while. And that went awry, as we know. We're not even going to get into that. It's a whole different thing. But Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, and just on and on and on. You know what I'm talking about. Really good offensive line, very good defensive line. Zach Wilson comes out, and his first 2 possessions were drives for touchdowns. That was for half of this season, guys. That was exactly the problem. We could not get anything going. Remember how many games we went without a first quarter point. That's where we have to remember where we start from, where we started from. The kid was running for his life. He was erratic. He was spooked. He couldn't hit screens. He was throwing balls into the dirt. Our defense couldn't do anything. Our offensive line it looked as though they've never played before. They couldn't pick up the blitzes. They couldn't make their reads. All their assignments were botched. One play, you have 3 blockers on one guy and 2 defensive players are running in untouched over here. We've gone through a lot this year. Now, a game like this where quite literally Zach Wilson, our young rookie quarterback, went toe for toe with the greatest of all time. And I know, right? They don't play each other. We know that, but that's still the way it is. That's the way that it goes. So it's Zach Wilson versus Tom Brady. That's how we look at this, right? Right or wrong. That's how we look at it. And our boy hung in there the entire day. And I'll also add, in the first half, our defense held Tom Brady to 10 points. Up until the fourth quarter, they had only scored 17. This is the Bucks. This is the Buccaneers. Now, when I see things online or out there in TV world, whatever, streaming, where people are throwing this guy under the bus, Zach Wilson, saying he sucks. He's not the guy. After this game, I even saw where someone said Zach Wilson is greedy, and I'm going to paraphrase. If I get a word wrong, forgive me. He wanted the glory for himself. He's selfish, and he took the play so he could be the hero. I take offense to that. I really do. I could not disagree with that more. And this is the stuff coming. What is it with this kid? Why is it that people are making it so incredibly hard for him? What is it? I mean, there's all kinds of stories. The team doesn't like him. They don't respect him. We hear none of that. It's only coming in a guy close to the situation, speaking on the condition of anonymity, says that they might not like him. Like, you know how many levels that is of not true? It's what we call gossip. It's what we call gossip. Now, guys saying that he's selfish and he wants the glory, or however they said it. What is that? The guy played a really solid game without his top 3 receivers. His running back went down. The other running back's gone. He has a makeshift offensive line. We had Chuma Edoga out there most of the day, who came in frazzled, and he played brilliantly. He was crisp, he was decisive, and most importantly, guys, he was calm. Getting on top of Zach Wilson for this game, I think, is off base. I really do. Now, I'm not saying he played a perfect game. What we're looking at here is whether or not this young guy is progressing. Is he progressing? I'm going to go out here and say this. This was his best game of the year. It was a full game. That last drive in the fourth quarter was awesome. I'll also add that we just put the most rushing yards on the Bucs that any team did this entire season. The fact that we didn't get blown out in this game, the fact that we hung, that we were able to stop Brady for much of the time, there's a lot to be applauded here. Our defense, they don't have the horses, man. Too many injuries, too many, you know what I mean? We're layers deep into this thing. We're on the 12th safety. You know what I mean? It's like, but they're playing their asses off. They're playing hard. CJ Mosley was all over the field today. Would you like to see more pressure? Sure. I'd also like to have a whole bunch of the guys that are on our team be able to play. Carl Lawson, Vinny Curry, Quinnen Williams, on and on. These are big names for us, and they're not there. So what we did today was we played probably our best game beginning to finish with a blown call. With a blown call. Now, what sort of team do you think would be expected to blow a call like that? What kind of team? A young, inexperienced team with a first-time offensive coordinator, a first-time head coach, rookie quarterback, rookie left guard, rookie running back, rookie, second year, rookie. That's what it is. That's the frustrating part about being involved in a youth movement. And it goes to the coaches. They're learning on the job. Remember that time that Robert Saleh didn't call the timeout and we ended up getting a delay of game penalty on 4th and inches? Remember that? We ripped them, myself included. Can't happen. Unacceptable. Remember what happened the next week? Similar situation. It wasn't 4th and inches, but it was a similar type of a situation. He called a timeout, and what did everybody say? It's wasting timeouts. This guy sucks. Now, it is what it is. We're going to be what we're going to be as a fan base. But I just want to point out, through all the fog, cutting through the smoke, that was called progression. That was somebody learning from a previous mistake. That won't happen again. That's what that was. That timeout was, I'm not doing that again. Now, today's call, 4th, with 2 minutes left, 4th and goal kind of thing. It's frustrating. Sucks. Look what they did to get down there. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was big time 4th quarter football against an 11-4 championship team. They're the defending Super Bowl champions. They beat everybody last year. There are 11 games this year, now 12 games that they've won. And here are the lowly Jets with a rookie quarterback, rookie offensive coordinator, decimated by injuries. We're starting Daniel Brown at tight end. We got Austin Walter at running back. You got Dan Feeney at center. You have Chuma Edoga at the left guard. I saw Connor McDermott in there. You know what I'm saying? And our boys, led by Zach Wilson, took this game to the last second. Now, once it's in Tom Brady's hand, with 2 minutes left in the 4th quarter, dude, I'm sorry. We all know what that looks like. It's what he does. That's what he does. This young team, try as they might, they're not stopping him in that situation. And they almost did. They almost did. They played well. At that point, the game's over. Ask the Atlanta Falcons what that looks like. Ask anybody what that looks like. Everybody knows Tom Brady down by 1 score with 2 minutes left. 99% chance you're losing. It's the way it goes. So once that's there, I wasn't disappointed. I knew. I'm still rooting. Come on, Jets. Come on, Jets. But we know that's what it's going to be. So it came down to that call. And we blew it in a way that is indicative of young, inexperienced people. That's what we're looking at. Should we have a meltdown? Because, I mean, look, you can be disappointed. Anybody can feel them any way you want. But I just need to remind you what really happened. Zach Wilson played very well. What were his stats? Let's take a look at his stats. He was 19 for 33 with 3 more drops minimum. Again, I don't know what that is. 234 yards and a touchdown. Meanwhile, we had 150 yards on the ground as well. It's a nice day. Could it have been better? Yeah. You know, the 3 drops get caught. You know, some of them, I mean, they were beautiful passes. 2 of the drops were gorgeous. Keelan Cole, it was beautiful pass. Same thing with Jeff Smith. That's another 30-something yards right there. So, again, and we're not going to hang on that, but the truth is the truth. Did we progress? I got to say, hell yeah. This was the best game Zach Wilson put together all year. He played the 11-4 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, took them to the last second, and it was 2 yards that we didn't get. If we get that 2 yards, that game's over. That's it. It's over. We don't even have to get in the end zone. So there you have it for the intelligent gripe. So what was some exciting stuff that we saw? I got to say, this Michael Carter injury thing is starting to freak me out a little bit, right? The guy clearly has talent. Clearly, he has the goods. No doubt about it. But this is his 3rd injury this year. Now, we don't know how serious it is or whatever, you know what I mean? We don't know. But we have 1 game left, and he's in the concussion protocol, and we don't know what that means. Now, obviously, he's the most disappointed of everybody, of course. But just when you're looking at what you need to bring in this year, where you need to fortify, you would hope that running back was done. Michael Carter is a starting running back in the NFL. He's still number 2 for making people miss in the league. That stat, I believe he's still number 2. If not, he's right up there. The 50-yard run on the first drive blew this thing open. As a matter of fact, I got very excited on the Jetnation live stream when that happened. I could barely control myself. So take a look at that, and I'll show you what it's like. Live reaction on the live stream to Michael Carter's run. Okay, here we go. Zach back to pass. Tosses it to Michael Carter, who is off to the races. Yes! Yes! Keep going, Michael Carter! Oh! Look at that! Michael Carter Dude, that was fantastic. Look at that whole little juke action right there. Who's that last block? That was Connor McDermott sealing the edge for him. Oh, that last lucky-ass tackle. That was a good time. You see, you start to really get excited when plays like that come out of nowhere. And like, look, we know this season's lost. We know we're not going to the playoffs. But again, from the right perspective, if you pay attention to this just the right way, you can see that we have some young horses that are going to be here a minute if they could stay healthy. Michael Carter is one of those guys. And that run was electric. A key on that run was AVT's block. He pulled from the left guard and ended up being a lead blocker on the right sideline downfield. And it was key. His block was absolutely key. Connor McDermott with a very serious block on that play. Our offensive line, guys, has been getting better and better. And look, we've even had injuries with minimal drop-off. Yes, Chuma Edoga had the penalty, and there was one, that sack was 100% on him. He got beat, flat out. So it took him a minute to get there, and he hasn't been playing, of course, but he played well overall. Dan Feeney at center played well. Now, is anybody going to sing any songs about him? Probably not. LDT had some clams, but he played well. Morgan Moses was solid. Our offensive line, remember, the first month of the season, Zach Wilson was the most sacked, the most hurried, the most pressured quarterback in the NFL. Remember the stat? He had approximately 1.7 seconds before pressure. 1.7 seconds to throw the ball. That's not even 2 seconds. All right? That's where we're coming from. The last few weeks, and in this game in particular, I thought it was going to be terrorizing Zach Wilson. AVT versus Vita Vea, great matchup. Now, I wasn't able to key on that and watch every play, which I'm going to. I'm going to watch and see how many times they went head-to-head. I know it was at least part of the game, and I know AVT did a damn good job. That's a keeper right there. So our offensive line has really been coming around the corner. Now, we have lots of questions. Is Becton going to be somebody that is never on the field? We don't know. He played Pro Bowl level last year. I saw Matt O'Leary put out a little clip of him playing against Bosa. Remember Mekhi Becton versus Nick Bosa? He ate him up. Becton took care of him. Becton is a stud. The only problem is getting on the field. Now, this was a freak injury. Why it took all year, we don't know. So there's a lot of question marks there, but we don't know what that's going to look like, but the guy is here. If he's playing, he's a stud. So having Becton, AVT, Connor McGovern, LDT, I'm fine with him. Get another young guy, a little competition action, see if Cam Clark can come back and get in the mix. Isaiah Williams is here. Ross Pierschbacher's here. So we have some guys developing on the pipeline. Bring another guy in. LDT's fine. Whether it's Morgan Moses or Fant, if we let Moses go, or maybe they're both here and Fant just starts. I don't know. But we have an offensive line. And guys, that is something to really write home about. We haven't had an offensive line in a long time. Now, are they there? No. There was a stat this week. It said the Jets, as of the end of last week's game, were the 12th overall offensive line in the NFL. Now, the last 3 years, last year was Joe Douglas's first year having an impact on the offensive line. We were in the mid-20s, mid to late 20s, 27, that kind of stuff. The year before, 31st. The year before, 32nd. So you can see it. 32nd, 31st, 25th, 12th. And we're still not done. And these guys got to play together for a while. The key is keeping players together. We want to cut everybody. We want to fire everybody every 10 minutes. He sucks. Cut him. That guy's done. Cut him. And I get it. I think the same thing sometimes. But we have to remember that the key to sustained success is letting them have the time to play together. I use this stat all the time. The Buffalo Bills defense, in large part, has been together since 2018. That's why they play like they play. 2018. It's another lifetime. Who was our coach here? That was Bowles. Right? Jeesh. So we have to hope that these guys, that we have some keepers here. Sure, bring in a center. Bring in a guard. Absolutely. But Connor McGovern was playing top 10 football for the last month and a half. Top 10. So we'll see what happens. But our offensive line, guys, led by AVT. The guy blows my mind. Every week there's a player or two that blow my mind with this guy. I love him. And dude, I think he's just scratching the surface. Honestly. Again, we just need to be healthy. We need to have him out there with his boys. The same 5 guys for 2, 3, 4 years. That's how you succeed in this NFL. Not switching guys out every single year, which is what we've been doing. So it's good to see. I like the trade for LDT, and his counterpart, the guy we used to trade for him, was our starting tight end today. Ain't that a wacky one? So Daniel Brown started today at tight end, and he had an impact. Now, I don't really need to see Daniel Brown try to hurdle a defensive back. Imagine this. It didn't work. He jumps up 8 feet into the air. The guy hits his thigh, and he falls over and lands on his face. And guess what? He's got an ankle injury now. Just like when Tyler Kroft was on the outside, which I disagree with, by the way. I don't like my tight ends out wide unless they're Tony Gonzalez or Kyle Pitts. So we had Tyler Kroft on the outside. He goes up. He just makes a leaping, amazing catch using every potential millimeter of his vertical, complete extension, catches the ball, lands on his back, out for 3 weeks. So Daniel Brown looked good today. He blocked well today. And he had a couple catches with impact today. But even more importantly, this was the game where we finally saw Kenny Yeboah. Is this not great news? The guy was practice squad for the first half of the season, cracks to 53 as a special teamer. He's been playing hard. He's developing nicely. He comes in today, and they get him the ball twice. Nice, beautiful play calls. The first pass he almost dropped. You know that, right? He went like this. He caught it, and it rolled on his forearm. So that's what happens when these guys have nerves. You can say whatever you want. They got to be pro or whatever. Look, man, when they're getting their first time playing or they haven't played in 6 weeks and they're given an opportunity, there's pressure there. And not everybody can get past that right away. They need a minute. They need to play out there for a while. Get hit. You got to get your bell rung. You got to get smacked in the mouth. Everything settles down. Adrenaline kicks up and you go, all right, I'm here. That's right. Okay, that's what we're doing. I'm ready. So that happened. Kenny Yeboah caught his first 2 catches after the preseason, that game 4 of the preseason when he had a wonderful week. This week, we got to see him in the offense. He was not a liability in pass protection. And I didn't really get to see him have any devastating blocks or anything again. I have to watch it all again. But Kenny Yeboah got on the field, into the offense, and got his first 2 catches. And that is good news because, again, I still think we need to grab a tight end in the draft. Absolutely. Maybe 2. And I think relatively high, 2nd round. If Trey McBride's there in a second, you grab him. But it's also nice to have a young, talented, athletic guy on the team already through the practice squad, through the training camp, through special teams play, got into the offense. He's just developing. By the time he's done with his first real NFL offseason and training camp, he's going to be ready to compete. And that's what you want. Bring in a nice big tight end name. Kenny Yeboah is here. Maybe you want to keep Griffin or Kroft, one of those guys. Great. Keep him around. Keep Daniel Brown. He's good on special teams. That's fine. Wesco, whatever you want to do. But Kenny Yeboah, his benefit is real. So it's nice to see the offensive line working, the young tight ends getting in. Now let's look at the defense quickly. Well, if you look at the numbers, it would look like Tom Brady ate us up all day long without a problem, and they kicked our butts. That's what the box score says. 467 yards of offense. If you look at this box score, it's going to tell a story that might not be accurate. So let's get into the real box score, the reality score. This game was an interesting one for our defensive backs. They had to go against the likes of Antonio Brown and Mike Evans. Brashad Perryman is out there, and obviously you have Tom Brady behind a stellar offensive line. They were going to have their abilities tested today. Now, Bryce Hall gave up some yards, gave up a touchdown against Mike Evans in the left corner of the end zone. Now, what happened there? Does Bryce Hall suck? It looks like he does. Gave up a touchdown to Mike Evans. It looks like it. But what really happened was Bryce Hall had excellent coverage, and the pass was quite literally perfect. I mean, that's Tom Brady, Mike Evans, an elite receiver with an elite quarterback. They're going to get things going. Now, here's the other side to that. Now, Bryce Hall gave up a play to Gronk. Well, he didn't have a perfect day, but he had some very, very nice pass defenses and also some tackles. So he had a good day. But the important thing here is to remember, this guy's young too. This is only his first full season playing. He played 6 games last year, and now it's his first season as a starting cornerback in the NFL. These games are important for a guy like him. Playing against Mike Evans, getting beat by Mike Evans, seeing what it's like, what it feels like, what are their moves, where you need to work. Taking your lumps is of paramount importance, and that's what we saw today. The 467 yards, sure. You don't want to see yourself giving up just under 500 yards of offense. But this bend don't break thing is a direct derivative of not having the horses on D. They're playing their butts off. You got to give it to them. They played balls to the wall the entire day. Again, C.J. Mosley ran around like a crazy man. He had 7 tackles with 6 assists. He was all over the field, truly sideline to sideline. The guy with the second most tackles was Bryce Hall. 7 tackles, 2 assists, and he also had 3 passes defensed, and then he has a touchdown against them. So when you look at these numbers, this box score, it definitely tells a story. But a part of the story that it's not telling is how it really broke down. Do you know that the lowly Jets versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their time of possession looked like this: 33 minutes for Tampa, 27 minutes for the Jets, just under. It's pretty good hanging. It's pretty good hanging. And the thing is with our defense, too, is that while they're playing hard, while they're doing all this, running around and making tackles and all that, they just can't seem to get off the field on third down, which extends the drives and keeps them out there longer. And we've seen it all year. And if we do stop them on third down, the team just feels strongly that it's unlikely that they'll be able to stop us again. They give up third downs. If they get the big stop, just go for it on fourth and you're likely to get it. Now, we've had a couple very exciting fourth down stands, but overall, the defense is wearing down, and this is why it's so important in this draft, in this free agency, to really take some of our premium assets and put it into the defense. An elite edge rusher with Carl Lawson on the other side. An elite linebacker, Nakobe Dean, would be nice. You see the game he had against Michigan? A nice safety. Somebody young who can cover the whole field. If it's not Hamilton, maybe it's one of the other guys. I don't know. You got Jordan Battle. You got a whole bunch. It's the deepest safety class in 20 years. So this is where we need to grab some guys from. It's a deep tight end class. Super deep safety class. Top end is good with pass rusher. So you want to use your top assets to get what the draft has up there, and then you want to settle down and make sure that you're properly placing in the positions of need. Edge, linebacker, safety. Can we get away with the cornerbacks? I think we might be able to if everything else is there. Bryce Hall's a starting cornerback in the NFL. We had some conversation today about us needing a number 1 corner. Hey, I think that's probably accurate. But as far as what this defense needs, I think that if you get the edge rush going, if Carl Lawson stays healthy and you have a guy, one of the top edge rushers from this draft in there with Quinnen Williams, Sheldon Rankins, and whoever else, John Franklin Myers coming up the middle, we're going to have a pass rush. That's going to help out the back end. When there's an errant pass because of the pass rush, you want a safety that can get there. You want a safety that's a ball hawk. That's what you want. And there's a bunch of those in this draft. So I think, watching our defense in this game against the Buccaneers, they played well. Not great. Definitely not great. But they played hard. And you can just see the deficiencies. You can see it. We get very little pressure. Very little pressure on Tom Brady. It was some. Very little pressure overall. So both teams had a turnover. Tom Brady threw an interception to a young rookie, recent Rookie of the Week recipient, has his championship belt, threw an interception to Brandon Echols. Our defensive backs get 2 weeks in a row with a pick, which is beautiful to see. Now, what I didn't like, and we got to talk about all this stuff. I'm a little bit less hot than I was earlier, but I can't believe after a loss like that, last second loss, that you have the gumption to take your ball and bring it over to the guy who just threw that winning touchdown and ask him to sign it. I can't stomach it. It doesn't sit well with me. I know it's a whole new generation. They like to flip and swap jerseys and all this fun stuff. I hate it, specifically in this instance. Tom Brady just drove down the field on you, threw a winning touchdown against your positional group, killed the game, crushed it, killed us. We're dead. And seconds later, you walk up and say, hey, man, can you sign my ball? I don't like it. Now, am I going to make a big deal about it? Well, I am making a big deal about it, but am I going to continue to make a big deal about it? No. But I have to say, what I want to see is a team that takes things personally. I want to see a team that, when they're defeated, can't stand it. Like Joe Douglas said, I want guys who hate to lose more than they like to win. It's a big one. It's an interesting distinction. Brandon Echols had a very good day today, as did Michael Carter II. And they got beat, man. They got beat. They won their matchups numerous times. And this is what we need to see with a young team. That defensive backfield, especially with the safety situation, there's a different name back there every week. Elijah Riley was back. What happened to Will Parks? They're all over the place. But Brandon Echols, Bryce Hall, Michael Carter II, they've been relatively consistent. There was some getting banged up and such, but they've been there most of the time, and they are playing well. Those guys have the capability to stay together as a unit and get better. If we get the edge rush, we get some linebacker help, and we get a safety behind them, I think we might have something there. The first downs, Tampa Bay had 26 first downs. The New York Jets had 22. So again, this was supposed to be a blowout, guys. This was supposed to be a trouncing. It was going to be terrible. And we came out from the word go and let them know that we decided not to get walked on today. You know what? We decided to play. We decided to play our asses off. And we almost beat them. Jets had 374 yards of offense. Berrios did have that fumble. But talking about Berrios, let's get into the moment of the week. So Braxton Berrios is having himself a nice tail end of this season, is he not? Braxton Berrios is doing some stuff, and especially with so many injuries in the wide receiver group. Braxton Berrios has really taken it upon himself to capitalize on this opportunity. Now, there was a play where the Jets decided to run the ball to the left, right on the goal line. They decided to run the ball to the left. Their entire scheme went left. The entire defense bit and went left, and they tossed it to Berrios, the little flipperoonie to Berrios, and he came around the other end on a sweep. The design was to throw it to Zach Wilson, who was covered. Braxton Berrios made an amazing decision. He had the ball up. He could have thrown it. He decided, you know what? I'm going to take a little walk into the end zone myself. And that play was probably the play of the game. Oh, my God! Oh, yes! Woo! This play Guys, what a magnificent play. Dude, that was brilliant. Brilliant play design, guys. It was beautiful play design. It showed creativity. It showed fearlessness. It showed confidence. And we got the touchdown. And that's what's so great. I'm going to tell you something. Somebody said it in the chat today on the Jetnation live stream. Berrios is getting more expensive by the minute. You need to sign him. You need to get him because every minute he needs another uptick in his salary. So, and that's not to say that he shouldn't get it, and he deserves everything he gets. But Braxton Berrios has proven his worth to the team, and it's bigger than just his play, which is obviously incredibly impactful and beneficial. It's bigger than that. It's having a guy who came from the bottom rung, roster fringe type of guy, made the team because of his special teams. There were conversations that maybe Vincent Smith or Jeff Smith should beat him to the roster spot. There were those conversations. Braxton Berrios came from that bottom rung and slowly but surely just kept being reliable, tough, dependable, successful. He does his job. He does it well. You can feel confident that when it's him receiving the ball, there's a more than good chance that he's going to catch it. And then you have the special team stuff. Braxton Berrios had 8 receptions today for 65 yards and a touchdown. With that Jets special being the icing on the cake, Braxton Berrios is a key component to this team. He's the kind of guy you keep around because of the impact. Let everybody know hard work gets rewarded here. Braxton Berrios is a priority on this off-season docket, and I think it's of paramount importance that he is not allowed to hit free agency because teams like the Patriots, they're willing to overpay him. They're willing to overpay him to steal him back from the Jets. The Patriots would love to have Braxton Berrios back. With, Edelman gone and all that, they would love to have Braxton Berrios. It's our duty to sign this guy. It is absolutely necessary. People were saying, I did a little poll this week, they were saying anywhere from 3 to 4 million. I think that's never going to get it done. I think 6 is where you start this conversation. 6, and I'd like to see him for 4 years. I don't want to deal with this again in 2 years. Keep Braxton Berrios on the team. He's a great teammate. Zach Wilson loves him, and he's a great special teams guy. He's hard work. He's everything you want. Everything you preach, Braxton Berrios is it. He's proven it this season time and time again, and I think you got to start that conversation with 6 million, maybe even get into the 8s and 9s. I'm serious. 8 million for 4 years, with half of that guaranteed or more, whatever they do. But Joe Douglas has to get on that before free agency starts, in my opinion. I don't want to start seeing the deals he's going to get offered. And we'll wrap this up with a very important aspect of what's going on for the New York Jets lately. We have had a very tough year with our kicking situation. And this guy that we had was 1 for 1. He made a 51-yard field goal and was 3 for 3 on point after attempts. Guys, I'm not saying not to bring in a kicker next year. Quite the opposite. But I am saying this guy might be legit. He's been excellent since he's been here. And that 51-yarder from me made me nod my head a little bit. Okay, we may have found a kicker. He's young. He has NFL experience. He was supposed to be an NFL kicker. He got injured. Here he is. This is our diamond in the rough. Bring in a kicker for competition. But I think Eddie Pinheiro just might be the guy. And that, my friends, is great news. Making it downfield and scoring the touchdown and missing your point after attempt is deflating. Especially twice in a row. Oh, wait. 3 times in a row in the Eagles game. That pretty much killed us. We're doing the same thing. Score for score, score for score, score for score, and we're down 3 points. How's that work? So Eddie Pinheiro, thank you, sir. You're doing a great job. Keep it up for our last game. We have one more game in Buffalo. How will it go? Do you want to win? Do you want to lose? Is it a useless game? We kept our 4th overall draft position. Seattle won. That's a bummer. The Texans lost. That's a bummer. Detroit got killed by Seattle. That's a bummer. I'd like to have seen some shaking, moving. in the draft order. But here we are. We're at the 4th slot. We got one more game this week. If we win, it moves. We can move it. If the Texans lose or win, it can move it. So we still have some interesting pieces to take a look at. Progress is there, guys. The progress is there. Zach Wilson played a very, very good game today. Let's not let one bad call from a bunch of rookies take away the enjoyment that this game was. I had more fun during this game. The only game that really compared was the Tennessee game. Yes, the Cincinnati game was amazing and fun too, but that was weird. It was Mike White. We didn't know what the heck was going on. The Titans game was a blast in the second half. This game was a blast from the first snap till the end, when it was no longer a blast. So there you have it, Jets fans. What do you think? Don't forget to subscribe. If you haven't, you can win the contest. Please look in the description of this video for the link to Draftkings. And don't forget to use my promo code GreenBean. That'll let them know it's me who sent you there. I hope you found a way to enjoy this one, because you deserve it. This was fun. You deserve it. We're watching our young team develop and grow up right before our eyes. I hope that you figured out a way to let yourself enjoy it. If not, let me know what you're griping about. Let me know what bothers you in the comments below. As you know, I try to respond to as many as I can. And guys, Patreon is going to be amazing this offseason. I have so much awesome stuff. Private mocks, player breakdowns, Jets classic game parties. Like, we're going to do so much fun stuff. All you have to do to sponsor me on Patreon is click the link in the description below. $5, $10, $25, whatever tier you want. I greatly appreciate it. This was a good one. We got one more week left. Let's go in there with our heads held high and see what our boys can do against the Buffalo Bills. That all said, have a great week. Go Jets.